We arrived in Lisbon, capital of Portugal, our 54th country, sailing up a foggy Tagus river at the end of our first transatlantic cruise. Near the cruise terminal, we picked up our pre-purchased 48-hour Lisboa card that gave us unlimited mass transit and free entry to many attractions. With our heavy luggage, though, we opted for an Uber ride west along Lisbon's riverside neighborhoods to our hotel. There was a bus stop right across the street, but we opted to walk, stopping first at a nearby restaurant for lunch. Despite having an English menu, we were the only non-locals there. The daily set meal was delicious and very affordable. Continuing on, we walked along the Tagus, the longest and one of the most important rivers in the Iberian Peninsula. The nearby 25 April Bridge commemorates the 1974 revolution that ousted a right-wing capitalist dictatorship, establishing Portugal's current republic. The 16th century Belem Tower, built during Portugal's peak as a maritime and colonial power, is the ceremonial gateway to Lisbon. The Monument of the Discoveries, which I'd seen earlier from our cruise ship, celebrates the Portuguese age of exploration that sparked Europe's expansion and colonization around the world. The Jeronimos Monastery, also built during the zenith of the Portuguese Empire, is one of the greatest examples of Portuguese Gothic design. Our Lisboa card let us skip the ticket line and gave us free entry. Vasco da Gama, the first to sail around Africa to India, is entombed here. The monks of the monastery created a recipe that was commercialized next door in 1837, the world-famous Pasteis de Belem. The long line was for dine-in, but you can quickly pick up some to go. Different versions are sold around Lisbon and throughout Portugal, but to us, the original was the best. Nearby, Dom João Porto is a great place to sample Portuguese specialties, and we picked up a pretty good selection. On our second day, we took the bus to the east side of the city, to the National Tile Museum, housed in a former convent. On our first day, we saw buildings covered in colorful tiles, so we wanted to learn more about this tradition. The story begins in 12th century Seville, a center of Islamic tile making. When Sevilla was reconquered in the 13th century, ornamental tiles made their way to re-Christianize Portugal. The Portuguese and Spanish word azulejo comes from the Arabic term for polished stone. Tiles of the 16th century had a distinct Portuguese style, primarily commissioned by the church and royalty. Blue porcelain from the Chinese Ming dynasty influenced 17th and early 18th century tiles. This incredible panoramic mural of Lisbon is from around the year 1700. Many famous landmarks are vividly depicted in detail. Nineteenth century mass-produced tiles decorate shops and houses seen today, and 20th century tiles took on Art Deco and pop culture styles. There are plenty of azulejo-themed souvenirs around Lisbon too. After the museum, we took the bus back west towards downtown Baixa District. The Baixa is the newest part of Old Lisbon. with wide streets laid out on a grid. The 1755 Lisbon earthquake and tsunami destroyed much of the city. Rather than restore old buildings, the Prime Minister Marquis de Pombal ordered the construction of some of Europe's first earthquake-resistant buildings. This church is one of the few remaining pre-earthquake buildings in Baixa, and this arch at the top of Commercial Square commemorates the city's reconstruction. The Baixa District is very flat, but the city rises quickly, particularly toward the 11th century Moorish Castle of St. George. The older areas on the hillside have a different layout and feel, but still with so many beautifully tiled buildings. Climbing the many stairs in the hills of Lisbon isn't the only option for getting up above the city center. The St. Justa elevator was opened in 1902 to connect Baixa to the Chiado neighborhood on the western hills. Today, it's a popular tourist attraction, and lines at the bottom can get very long. So if you don't mind a climb, there are stairs to take to the top. Look for the city locker sign along the Rua do Carmo, leading to a narrow stairway. Keep heading up and back around to reach the elevated bridge connecting to the elevator. Even though the upper viewpoint was closed, the views of Lisbon are well worth the climb, or even the wait in line if you prefer. There was no wait to go back down, and the €6 fare was covered by our Lisboa card. The last place we went on our second and final day was on the west edge of Baixa. The Mercado da Ribeira building was first opened in 1892. One half is a traditional farmer's market, and the other is a massive gourmet food hall called Time Out. We settled on a place for food and took home a wonderful tapas dinner with enough leftovers for breakfast. Our 2 days in Lisbon were over, and we took an Uber to the bus station. Where we rode across the 1998 Vasco da Gama Bridge, heading south for more adventures in Portugal's world-famous Algarve.